G'day, this is Scott from ScottsHobbyz. This video I'll be finishing my friend's Mors Kochanski knife. This is the blank my friend ended up with from attending one of Mors' classes. He wasn't feeling well, so he stopped working on it and just chatted instead. On the original, Mors uses ice hockey stick handles for the handles, but for some reason ice hockey never really took off in Australia, so they're in short supply. But my friend gave me this piece of redgum to use, which looks like it was from an old post or something. The blade is cut out from a old giant sawmill blade from Canada. I will link in the description a video of Mors making and discussing these knives, which if you're into this kind of thing is well worth checking out. And as you can see, I'm cutting the wood down to a more rectangular piece. Out of that block I was able to make up 2 handles worth of material. My friend wanted a slight drop point on the blade, so I'm reshaping the profile here, as well as tidying it up on the grinder, and then tidy it up on my little 1x30 belt sander. I was keeping it cool by dunking it in water often. I didn't want to ruin the heat treat. The design is meant to be about 4 fingers wide, and then the rest of it becomes the tang in the handle. I tried to saw like Mors did in the video, but I failed miserably because I can't cut straight. As you can see there, that's pretty bad. So I cut off the thinner parts and cut away about a knife blade worth of thickness on one of the scales on the table saw and chiseled out the bit that I couldn't reach. I then tried to drill my pinholes, which didn't work. I don't know if the bit was a bit sharper if it would have, but I used the alternative method, which is what Mors uses. Quick tutorial on getting through thin saw blade steel with no drill bit. This would also work on unhardened steel. Put a large washer or nut on a flat surface and the steel on top. Put the part where you want the hole to be over the center, and using a heavy center punch, hit it to deform the steel. Then grind the bulge off and continue changing sides until you are through and have the size hole that you need. This will bend the steel a little bit, so you'll have to bend it straight again in a vise or something, as you'll see me do. And as you can see, my 4mm brass rod fits through perfectly. I then cut and clean up my handle pins. Because I have two scales instead of one piece, I also use a pin near the bottom of the handle just to make it more solid. Here I'm finishing the fronts of the handles because it will be harder to later. And I scratch up the wood with my scribe to give the glue a better bond, and then assemble everything. I then peen the pins to give a mechanical lock on top of the epoxy's bond, so it gets extra strength. In the original video, Mors just peens the pins, but I chose to use epoxy as well. I also jam extra epoxy in the gaps to seal them up well, so no moisture gets in there in the future to corrode the tang. And the baking paper I use is to stop the clamps getting stuck to the handle. Also make sure to clean up any squeeze out from the front. After drying for 24 hours, it was time to shape the handle. A fresh 40 grit belt made quick work of it. Just had to make sure not to get it too hot, otherwise, well, you can burn the epoxy. There I am rounding it off a bit on the machine, and then I finish all the shaping by hand, as well as the finishing. I roughed in the bevel by hand on my 1x30, making sure not to get it too hot, and then finished the bevel on a 140 grit diamond plate and sharpened on a 400 then 1200 grit diamond plate to refine the edge, and followed by stropping on a homemade strop with buffing compound to remove the burr. As you can see, nice and sharp. Finished the wood with a few coats of boiled linseed oil and terps mix. Thanks for watching. Check out Mors's videos, my other videos, and have a good one.